Hey everybody, welcome to day 49. Body weight was down slightly to 205.4 pounds. We started off today with sled sprints going down to 60 pounds from 65. Again, these are still heavy, slow sprints. There'll be less impact, not impact, but it'll be less on my right knee that's bugging me right now. I did have single leg jumps planned for today, but I knew if I did that, it was going to affect the sprints. I didn't really start feeling it until the end of these sprints. So what I ended up doing was altitude drops today. I really only include these maybe once or twice during a training cycle. Sometimes the ankles, the feet, things get beat up from these, so I wanted to do them after the sprint. So the sprints took me a little bit to warm up to. This is actually the highest that I've gone off of in a controlled fashion. Obviously, riding dirt bikes and stuff like that, and misjudging jumps and bailing off the bike at high speeds. The body has received a lot more of a eccentric load than something controlled like that, but I'm not 13 or 14 anymore, so that's also just good to throw in. Again, I'm not trying to be a parkour athlete or anything like that, just for real world situation. If you need to jump off or step off something small, you won't even think about it. If you have to jump over a fence or who knows what the situation is, you got to jump out of a second story burning building or whatever, your body will be all the tissues will be a lot more resilient. Obviously it helps with what I'm trying to do with that too is, of course, if you jumped off something a lot higher, like let's say the roof of a house or something, you would land into like more of like a tuck and roll, and you wouldn't be able to fit you wouldn't be able to handle the impact as well. I'm trying to keep the hips up relatively high, land on the balls of the feet, and absorb that impact and eccentric load. After that, we went on to standing knee raises. 25-pound standing knee raises. My previous best on that was 41. I managed to push that till 45. And then single leg iso bridges here with 95 pounds. Previous best was 70 count. My all-time best is 77 count. I managed to get to 75. I had the desire to push it. However, I felt my butt hit the ground when I got to 75, and so that was the end of the set. Now, you guys are going to see some different camera angles from yesterday and today. The first attempt on this, the wind was crazy today. There's smoke or dust kicking up everywhere. It knocked over the tripod. I think I forgot to say yesterday, the tripod that my friend bought me, I broke it already in a month. I broke that thing. So I had ordered another one. This one's different, and I don't know, it couldn't withstand the wind. I guess the other one like wraps around onto stuff, and the little arm that wraps around things, I guess I used it too many times and the metal in it broke, so I have two arms left. I still used it, like here I used it because it was blowing over, and I really dislike when I get ready to do a top set of something and I'm interrupted or I have to, something else happens. So this is 105 pounds on the pendulum sissy squat. On the Smith machine sissy squat. I've never gone this heavy before. I managed to get 5. I was hoping to get 6 the first one. I did 2 reps when I realized what had blown over. I had checked and looked when I heard something blow over, because earlier a trash can blew all the way across the yard, and then also I have like a sharp or like a hard plastic table cover that had the wind picked it up and blew it like out of the groove off the table, and that thing is sharp. I didn't want a flying piece of sharp plastic coming at me, so I noticed it got knocked over, and I just reset the set or whatever. But didn't feel the knee too bad on that. Don't feel the quad tendon on that exercise. Like I pretty much usually don't, surprisingly. The sill rows, Sean gave me this idea was to take this into a drop set. Usually I don't do drop sets. I started with 225, dropped down to 185, and then dropped down to 145. I'm not going to track this or count this. I just did as many as I could. When I couldn't do any more, dropped the weight, did as many as I could, did as many as I could, etc. As far as all the little injuries and stuff, like the left side of my neck is about the same, maybe a little bit better than it was. The right knee, slightly better. The left hip, I'm not experiencing nerve pain, but after the reverse lunges, that hip did get crushed. So there is pain on the outside of the hip. What else? Oh, when I woke up, I was doing my like band mobility and stuff for the shoulders. And for the first time, I unlocked a new fear because I think you call it the ulnar nerve, but we know it as the funny bone. When I was working on my shoulder, all of a sudden, yeah, that nerve was getting pinched. So that was definitely something new for me. And then when I go to the straight bar squats, I have felt it too in the warm-ups, but luckily during the top set, I didn't feel it. I felt it on the warm-ups here on the push-ups as well. So my best on these push-ups with two vests and my daughter was 10. I noticed during the set, I tried to tell her after like 4 or 5 when I saw her foot close, to try to pick her foot up and not touch it. She's tried, obviously it's not her fault, she's trying her best, but I noticed she had touched the ground with her foot on a couple of the reps. So instead of 11, luckily the 10 the other time was super hard to get there. Not that this one was easy, but when I hit 11, I wanted to make sure to get 12 so I can count it as like 11 good ones because I know the foot touched a couple times. Yeah, and then after this, we move on to the straight weight box squats. Oddly enough, right before I do the top set, I hadn't been feeling it all day. I started feeling my right quad tendon, so it was in my mind. But yeah, this is 6 chains. The chains are set slightly lower than I do on the SSB, just because historically I had a record set up like this. So I know they do completely deload at the bottom. If you don't want to call this a squat or you don't like the way that I do squats, like that's fine. It's a deadlift accessory. You don't have to call it a squat. You could say I'm cheating or doing whatever. I don't care. So 225 minus 8 pounds because the bar is lighter. And all 6 chains. I call it 300 pounds, but it's actually like 262 pounds. Probably you can do roughly like 100, like the way this is set up, probably 100 pounds more, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, the shoulder just absolutely killed me on the warm-ups, but it was windy and smoky and freezing, and it's time to spend some time with my daughter, so I didn't have time to change. Just need to go through here. I thought up at about 6 or 7, I'm going to be lucky to get to 10. Now, the weight didn't feel too overpowering on my back or anything like that. It did feel like the one plate warm-up, it felt a little bit harder going down because now with the squat, I don't have the bands on there. So it's going to feel like it's not lightening up at the bottom as much as with the safety squat bar, so my body had to adjust to that a little bit. The main thing is I was feeling my low back getting pumped because I had to pick up the movement pattern. A couple of the reps I'm coming up too early, a couple of reps I'm rocking too far forward and getting pushed out in front of it. It becomes like a balance thing. If my shoulder felt a little bit different, I would have been able to crank down on the bar more. I really didn't feel or pay attention to anything else. Just my right shoulder. That was the only thing that I was thinking about the whole time. Yeah, I thought I was only going to get 10, but able to do more. Even afterwards, I didn't feel like I was going to throw up or anything. I didn't feel super out of breath. My quads didn't feel like they got smoked. So that just tells me that the muscles were capable, but my central nervous system wasn't prepared, or it's not used to this exercise yet, which, just to give you a rundown, pound for pound, it's 16 pounds off my best on this exercise. But when I did that, that day that I did that, I smoked that exercise, and I finished it about 11, 12 seconds faster than this set. So realistically, I'm about 25 pounds away, but I'm fine with that. I know if I do this again, I can probably perform it better. That's pretty much all I got today. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.